everybody, I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching Loki, episode 5.
Yes. Journey into Mystery. No.
Just starting out, I am going to say that I am not unsick, and thus, as such, I am low energy. So I'm not going to be giving this episode the energy it deserves.
That's too bad, because this was a really good one.
This is probably the best episode of the Disney Plus I've seen.
All three?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
The climax of WandaVision was really, like, the last 2 episodes of WandaVision, because things were finally happening.
Yeah.
But they still were relatively, it was contained to its premise.
Yeah. This also weirdly does feel like it has the most potential future stakes.
Well, I think WandaVision does, but
I think they're tied in that case. Because obviously Wanda is, like, going to still be interacting with people, and we're really unclear about where Loki's gonna filter out with that. But if there's none of this sacred timeline crap, that's even more reason for the multiverse of madness.
It makes Falcon and Winter Soldier stick out even more so
for being
hindsight,
so just
for
like
having nothing to do with anything
straight across the board. Yeah, I think again that's sort of like because of all the release dates that I think it was
going to be first.
Yeah, it was not where it was supposed to be.
This was huge. It was almost all of my issues that I was sort of having with this show are completely ironed out, and a large chunk of that is thanks to Rachel for explaining to me how the variants work.
Yeah.
Because I was really having a hard time grasping it. And she basically was like, well, you understand reincarnation, right? Like the concept of past lives. And I was like, yeah. And so she was like, so just think of it as like concurrent past lives. And I was like, oh, that for whatever reason, that makes total sense to me. But yeah, no, different Lokis for some reason just wasn't computing. But no, and it sort of, I mean, with the introduction of the Void, I sort of had like an understanding of what we were doing. I don't know why, I don't know what specifically, and it reminded me a little bit of The Magicians because we would frequently compare the show The Magicians and the show Once Upon a Time, because they both are high concept, high fantasy with all sorts of convoluted rules and stakes. But the thing is, one of them is well written and one of them wasn't.
One of them is well written and one of them is Once Upon a Time.
And so it's easy. It's much easier for me to accept something if it's clever and enjoyable.
Sure.
And so, you know, one of my favorite writers, Lily Sparks, Teen Killers Club, now available. She commented that once a fantasy show introduces an afterlife or an underworld, it's really difficult because it voids any and all stakes.
Yeah, because then you don't nobody dies. You just have to like go and like get them back, and like, you know, there's this one spell, didn't you know, that like brings it back for 24 hours. And
we touched on that territory with this, but at no point did I feel cheated. It felt, and I think maybe also because the MCU is so vast that it just felt right. I don't know. There's something about it that felt right. It also, in my opinion, it was one of the better Harry Potter adaptations.
Agreed.
It really plays like episode 7 of Harry Potter 6.
Up to and including actual Hogwarts in the very last shot, which was alarming.
No, I was impressed. I frequently, I have a high standard for fantasy, and I frequently feel gypped when they find ways to represent fantasy as a forest. And you know, they've gotten a lot of mileage out.
Iceland.
A forest in Iceland. They've gotten a lot of mileage out of the purple filter. I appreciate it. It doesn't feel overdone. At least it's not red, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's working for me. Yeah. So you're right. There is a lot of it. And it's like sort of like going back and forth with like a greenish filter too, because it's like everything's green for Loki. But yeah, I agree. I think it works. I think it's good.
The stakes were appropriate across the board. Alioth was interesting and terrifying.
Sort of, for me, a mix between the smoke monster from Lost and the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin.
With the I forgot what it's called, the Jurassic World dinosaur.
Yeah. Okay, sure. The one that eats out of the water, the water one?
The one that's not the T-Rex, that the T-Rex
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
I keep wanting to say like Brachius. That's a real thing though.
But it was like also
Conglomosaurus.
Yeah. It was also like sponsored by Smartwater.
Yeah. We had classic Loki, kid Loki, alligator Loki, and
his name is Boastful Loki in the credits.
okay.
He was being boastful.
He was.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I kept waiting for a name, and I was just like, I don't want to call him Black Loki.
No. It is. He was listed as Boastful Loki.
He was very boastful. They were good.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that felt when they were revealed at the end of the end credit scene, it felt like they were going to be insisted upon me, and they did not feel that way.
I mean, Richard E. Grant is a pro.
I didn't recognize him, so
Yeah.
I mean that was nice. He did a lot of heavy lifting,
He did.
literally and metaphorically, in this episode.
He's so great. I love him so much.
The classic Loki was a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you want to watch one of the most charming, like, red carpet rounds in the world, watch his from a couple years ago when he was nominated for Can You Ever Forgive Me and wrongly lost the Oscar. But his whole, like, press tour was so charming and amazing.
He gives a phenomenal performance in a little cult film called Spice World.
Also, yes.
Cut to them with the lights flaring. It's very funny.
Yeah.
I think that movie is better than its reputation.
I agree. I totally agree. And Kid Loki is good.
He was cute.
Especially if what Will's saying where they're trying to do like Kid Avengers or Young Avengers or something, I think he's going to be like a good addition to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we'll have to see at this point. You know, we have no reason to not have faith.
Yeah.
Alligator Loki was fun too. I appreciate that this show is taking the opportunity to air my grievances with Loki.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of like in Endgame when Captain America does the like, I get it.
Oh my God. I could do this all day.
Of all of them betraying each other was so funny.
I'll say this. I am pretty disappointed because the one that's in the jacket and the horns that says, "What did you expect?"
You really wanted that to be Loki Prime.
I wanted it to be more than it was, but they just were like immediately all fighting with each other. And I just like wanted to look at him in that outfit for like a little longer. But it was nice that there were 2 Tom Hiddleston Lokis in this episode. It was very good.
And I can't remember if I said this, but the layer was really cool.
It was very cool.
Everything was just appropriately sized.
Yeah.
I was like, the couple of comments I made about the space bureaucracy, I'm rescinding. I think it has been more than sufficient, especially now that we're dealing with it not being
that it's like not
what it
even
is.
real, really. Yeah. Also, Kid Loki was drinking high C ectoplasm or whatever.
Oh, he just was?
He was.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Will was making a joke.
No, he definitely was.
So Ravonna,
yeah,
I guess I kept forgetting she was a judge. Now I understand her position in the hierarchy.
Sure.
What is her deal?
She's still bad. She's still like,
but she's not like supervillain.
She's not a supervillain because it does appear that to a point she is aligned with Mobius and Hunter. What is she? D15, B15, and Sylvie, where she wants to know who is actually in charge because it does seem to me that she was genuinely shocked that they were robots. So, but it was like she still was like, well, we have to prune this Loki. The Sylvie.
I appreciate it because one of the places Marvel has been criticized is its underwritten villains. And so to have a quote unquote bad guy who isn't as simple as
yeah.
It's a little nice, I think.
Yeah. Also, though she did seem very like when Sylvie pruned herself, she was like, well, good thing that's done. And I was like, bitch, please. What do you possibly think is like actually completed after this?
Also keep your eye on Miss Minutes.
Yeah, Miss Minutes seems a little bit shady.
I liked the dogma states that the end of time is still being written.
Yeah.
And it's very Natasha Bedingfield that way.
Yeah.
I liked the little dodos running around. I don't know what they were.
With their little like heads that like
it was like exclamation point
bounce.
heads.
Yeah, they were very cute and silly.
Kid Loki was presumably in charge of the Lokis, and they said it was because he killed Thor. Granted, I would assume it was Kid Thor, so I don't know if that's quite the same. But
but that was his Nexus event, which I thought it was all their Nexus events were interesting. I liked that quite a lot, actually.
Well, Alligator Loki ate the wrong neighbor's cat.
Pretty good.
Was it Agatha's? Like,
oh, Mephisto! No, I just also, even though this Loki that we know didn't actually do it, he knows he did it. His is the only one that was like selfless. His Nexus, well, not his actual Nexus event, but he's the only one who did something selfless before he died, where he was like trying to kill Thanos. His Nexus event wasn't. It was purely selfish, but
well, no, because that was the proper timeline.
No, I know, but I'm saying like he didn't have that in common with any of the other Lokis. They hadn't done anything selfless because they didn't like.
Well, this Loki is only a variant because the Avenger, I guess, they said that was meant to happen though. The Avengers were time traveling and he stole the Tesseract. That's what caused his Nexus event.
Him doing it was his Nexus event, not the Avengers doing it.
So
it was
not
like
selfless.
Not that. His trying to kill Thanos was selfless. The rest of them have never done a selfless
person
No,
yet.
I know, but he knows he's capable of it.
Well, they're all capable of.
But they don't know they are because they didn't ever do anything like that.
Okay. It makes sense to you.
It does.
Well, I'm starting to think that this show might be about Loki learning how to love and trust himself.
Yeah. Under the guise of a pretty blonde lady.
Well, it's sort of the like catch-22 of the character where it's like, what do you do with a perpetual trickster god? It's like, how do you break that cycle? Because even just him suddenly becoming good feels disingenuous somewhere.
No, I think it's seeing himself from the outside is part of it. Like learning how to view himself not as himself, where he's like looking at all these other and like when all of the other Lokis come down into the little lair and then they all just immediately start fighting and bargaining for power, he is just like, this again. And it's just like, it's so funny how much further along he is because he's like, he's seen everything the way it was supposed to go. And he was like, I had good moments in there. If only I had stayed on that path, kind of a thing. And I just think being able to look at yourself from an outsider's perspective is sort of what it takes to be able to like overcome your greatest, like, you know, bad qualities.
Well, I also love and it wasn't really a callback. It was an insinuation, I guess. But the 2 episodes ago, they had that dumbass conversation about love being hate or love being a dagger or whatever. And there's the scene where they're like sharing the blanket. And she's like, how do I know you won't betray me?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not there yet. If he said it, it would have been cringy. One might even say chuggy.
No, why?
I'm obsessed with that word.
No, I hate it.
Well, you're meant to, but it's just funny to me. But it's the whole like, that's what love is. That's what you don't.
Trusting.
No, that's what trust is. That's what it. And so that was really very interesting, and I appreciated their resistance to putting like period on the end of that sentence.
I was convinced they were going to kiss each other.
I thought so too,
and they didn't.
I'm curious if and when.
Look, I'm not desperate for a romance in this show,
I'm curious if and when. If they will do it, when will they do it?
Come on. Maybe post TVA when there's no more Nexus events. Maybe they'll kiss.
Well, there's got to be something though.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm very curious to this final episode has really propped itself up. So we'll see how this ship comes into land. Oh my God, I loved classic Loki coming in and building Asgard.
So good. To distract the Eliath.
You know, us Asgard stans are really being paid off for sticking in there.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a rocky start, kind of.
We really stand the city and Frigga, and we are getting our dividends now.
It's paying off. It was just gorgeous. And Richard E. Grant was so good. And so I guess this was a little bit, I'll allow it, but I guess Sylvie and Loki decided if they could grab the cloud, they could enchant it.
Yeah.
Because she kind of did it when she was running away from it.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like Castle Neuenstein or whatever.
Neuschwanstein. I thought it looked a lot more like the Harry Potter castle.
Or that one that like Drakenfire, or that's a roller coaster at Busch Gardens.
Oh God.
there's another castle like that. The Big Bad Wolf.
That was the first roller coaster I ever rode.
Me too.
Yeah. The one in Virginia? Nice.
So yeah, it was cool. And they sort of, the cloud parted. I don't know how. I mean, what enchanting it? I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Well, what they were discussing is that it was like a guard dog for the actual timekeeper, like to keep someone from getting to the end of the timeline.
Oh,
so they were enchanting it to make it
the end of the timeline.
Dissipate,
oh,
and that's
So kind of Avalon.
Yeah, but it does feel like it might be a man behind the curtain.
Yeah. I mean, that would be suiting.
Yeah. For Loki, absolutely.
And also, I mean, it's very tropey.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean anything. I just thought the ship, the USS Elridge, was interesting.
It does mean something. I looked it up because I was like, that seems like a real ship that happened. It was a real ship. And basically, okay, it's under Wikipedia, it says, in pop culture, the USS Eldridge makes a brief appearance as a plot device in the 5th episode of the Marvel-produced series Loki, released on Disney+, blah, 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 implying that the Philadelphia experiment was conducted after all and potentially successful. And then there's a section about the Philadelphia experiment. Was a purported naval military experiment at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard sometime around October 28th, 1943, in which the Eldridge was to be rendered invisible by a cloaking device to human observers for a brief period. The story is considered a hoax. So basically it's like potentially they like actually made it happen, and that was the nexus event for the Eldridge. So they like,
and there were all kinds of little Easter eggs like Ronan's ship, and then there was
a helicopter that said Thanos on the side. I thought I saw a huge Iron Man helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was I saw it too. I didn't peg it as Iron Man, but it also looked like the Tower of Babel in one. Yeah. I don't know.
And the Avengers Tower was
Oh, also when classic Loki was building Asgard, the score turned into Rise of the Valkyries a little bit. It was kind of fun. It was like a riff on it.
It was very cool.
Shockingly, they didn't do that in Ragnarok, so it might be too on the nose, but an Immigrant Song isn't.
It's fine. Marvel's not known for its subtlety.
So yeah, that was about it. Like I said, honestly, it was great. This was one of them, like I said, well comparable to the WandaVision finale for me, where I just was like,
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it quite a lot, and it like blew past. I was like, when they got behind the curtain and saw the wherever, I was like, oh cool, like what's next? And credits, and I was like, motherfucker.
Also, Tom Hiddleston's silhouette was particularly intriguing or particularly nice in this episode. Maybe it was all the wind.
Oh, maybe his hair was blowing a lot,
and his waist was really tapered.
He put on a holster for his knife at one point.
Maybe it was the holster because it was. He's not. You don't really think of him as like muscly.
He's not. He's live.
Yeah. But it was especially the scene of them in the wind. It was like, ooh.
I am obsessed with him. I love him.
Oh, also, Frog Thor was there. I don't know what it is other than it's a thing.
No, me neither. It was in the trivia for the episode, and I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I liked Alligator Loki.
Yeah.
But diminishing. It's only going to be so.
Yeah, like how much more Alligator Loki are we going to have? That's going to be an issue. That's going to be a potential issue.
Although I am still holding out for Spider-Pig.
Yes, we can still hold out for Spider-Pig.
By way of Simpsons.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well, you can like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. We're trying to get followers. We're trying to get to 1,000 by my birthday. I don't think it's going to happen, but you can do it. It's in
We've got like 12 days. Come on, guys. Let's do it.
And because last time you said you're like, let's get 15 likes. I think we got like 30. So let's get 16 likes.
Oh, I was going to say 40, but.
Yeah. So you can head on over to patreon.com/so I'm watching the show to check out some bonus content, mostly audio. We're working on some video stuff right now.
Yep.
And help keep the lights on. And so I'm watching.com, which links out to books and Twitters and Instagrams and all of that. We have an entire backlog. Some people don't realize we're a podcast.
Oh, yeah, we were initially a podcast. We got like almost 400 episodes.
400 episodes if you want to listen to us talk about stuff.
I think we're nice.